Hello friends, this is Wurps. This is my upgrade guide. This will cover some upgrade distribution loadouts that I found to be particularly effective, as well as some of the mechanics behind the purchasing price and scaling of upgrades and energy crystals and medkits, and what the upgrades actually do. I also have most, if not all, of the strength breakpoints for lifting enemies and smashing them around or throwing them in pits. So first off, we'll just look at actually buying them. So each upgrade has a random range of how many of it can appear in the shop. As you see, we have 2 strength here, and they have a price range that is not that wide. But stamina, for example, will almost always be 2k. Health is 4, 5, 6, roughly around there. Tumble's fairly cheap. The double jump is not here. Tumble and double jump both can not appear as well. So if you want to stack those, it's kind of RNG. If you want to stack strength, there's definitely some RNG. But since the range is like 0 to 2, it's slightly better than Tumble, which is 0 to 1, for example. Sprint speed, I often see 2 of these. This time I see 1. Range, you can see a few of. Now, the prices for these will scale up based on how many of the same upgrade you've already bought in past shops. It won't immediately upscale. Like if I buy this strength right here, the price of this other strength won't change yet, but next time in the shop it will. So you can sort of front load value by buying multiples of the same upgrade to get early value. This is especially true with the stamina upgrade that only costs 2k at first. You can buy a few of these for only a few thousand and distribute them if you want to do a distribution based strategy. I'll cover more of that later. But the upgrades can be gamed a little bit to gain power a little earlier. So if you buy them in groups like this, you can get some savings. All right, now I'm going to showcase what each level of the upgrade does. I'm going to just keep adding them and testing them out. We will start with me just doing health. I have a mod to allow me to spawn items, and I also have a macro. That's why you see me crouching and flying on my map, because of the macro I'm using to spam this, which would otherwise be difficult. Health is simple. You get 20 health per upgrade. This will give you the option to stay out of death range of any source of damage that does 100, such as a huntsman shot or a robe scream attack. So those things will not be able to kill you from full health. Now, it will still be quite damaging if you were to lose that much health at once, but if you're doing a very heavily focused upgrade strategy, you definitely wouldn't want that person to die. So stamina, it's the same thing. I mean, I'll spam a bunch of them just to... Oh, there we go. Spam a bunch just to be able to run around when I showcase the sprint speed in a second here. Just gobble these up. Okay, sprint speed. We will compare base sprint speed to all of the upgrade levels. Let's just have a little run here. Default speed, let's get just 1. Already a fairly sizable increase. Sprint speed is rather good. Let's get another one. 2 sprint speed. You could very easily get 2 sprint speeds at once in the first shop and buy both. This is already quite fast. 3 sprint speed. Very fast, very fast. 4 sprint speed. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. So we are at 25. Quite fast, difficult to control at this point. Interestingly, it seems the rate of stamina drain and your movement speed are tied. My stamina is being obliterated, and I can barely even move. My percentage of sprinting to waiting for my stamina to come back is massive. Let's just eat the rest of these. And for a nice round number, here's 100 speed. It is so fast, I am floating, and my stamina is getting less efficient. Very strange. I can barely move at all with 15 stamina. Huh. Okay, so there is a point where sprint speed will start to screw you. How interesting. Now for Tumble Launch, which is a very viable build to focus on completely, as it gives you an option for attacking enemies and movement that doesn't cost stamina at all. So we have a basic tumble. I'm sure you know what it is, where you hit Q and you just sit there. Now, in order for you to get momentum on the regular Tumble Launch, you would have to sprint. Your movement speed would be your entire momentum. But here, I'm going to stand still and hit Q. You'll notice I moved slightly. Now, if I were to jump into it without even sprinting and hit Q, I'm getting launched a bit. Now, it's not that useful in this state, but when you start to stack it up, it starts to look different. So here is 2 launches, standing still, walking forward and moving, walking forward and sprinting, 3, standing still looking a little bit up, as the direction you are looking does matter. What a nice courtyard for testing. 3 is definitely enough to start throwing yourself around and would be better than just walking. 4, stand still test. Definitely a notable distance. Walking forward, jumping, looking up, throwing myself, sprinting. This is at 4. That's pretty respectable already. Go to 5. 5, it is kind of hard to get here if you have bad luck, because it's a 50% chance. Okay, hold on. Gotta get out of here, man. I'm busy. Okay, so 5. Am I on 5? Okay. 5 tumble launches. This is enough to launch yourself almost across a room, or actually across a room here. We go to 6. Standstill test. Pretty decent. Walking forward, jumping, looking a little up. Pretty decent. Get to 7. Now, you will have to have slightly decent luck to get to 7 by, like, stage 10. I think by stage 10, you would have an okay chance of getting to 7. And at this point, this is a just walking forward tumble. You are really throwing yourself across a room. If you were to sprint jump, you could definitely throw yourself across a room. Let's get to 8. Standstill test. That was a moving test. I lied. This is the standstill. That is pretty powerful. 9. Standstill. Walking, jump, aim up. Quite a lot of launch. Now, the tumble, I think, has a 50% chance to show up in the shop. It is a 0 to 1 range, and it seems to fit my experience. I don't have a for sure on this, but that does seem to be what it is. So it's kind of RNG if you can actually access this high a level of tumble. There's a hidden here. Okay, well. Okay, so level 10 tumble versus a duck. That was pretty respectable. Just ping-ponged him. Uh-oh. Wait, line it up. Okay, level 10 tumble decimates a duck. Oh, you see that? There's a hidden there. Testing the tumble versus the hidden. Now I am accidentally kind of cheating here with the health bars to know where he is. But it also decimated that hidden. As you can see, I can travel quite effectively without using any stamina. Now this will get considerably more dangerous as levels start to have more and more death pits, which will start happening as you get higher in the quota. But as long as you use this correctly, you have a ranged option to throw yourself across the room. You can throw yourself really high up rooms, and you can get away from almost anything. It's going to be very difficult for monsters to catch you when you can just spam this. All right, for fun, let's keep testing in increments of 5. 15 launch, stand still. I am rocketing across the area. It would take... How many quotas is this? If you got just regular RNG, you'd probably have to be at quota 30, which would be difficult, and you'd have to eat all of them. But it is possible. This could be seen. I almost hit the ceiling of this area with this many tumbles. Okay, we got 20 tumbles. Stand still test. I have bonked into the ceiling. I will do a sprinting test. I am ping-ponging off the walls. Okay, let's give range a showcase here. So we got the default range. I'll stand roughly on this line and drop it. That is default. This is 1 range. This is 2 range. 3. 4. They're gonna roll a little. It is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna have to unlock my mouse wheel. 5. Okay. My rings. I'm gonna switch to gem boxes because they're a bit more stable. Better surface area. And hide in the truck from the alien and the huntsman. So this is 7 range. All the way out there. 8. 9. Those look suspiciously the same range. Okay, so I can grab from longer. I actually didn't even know this. Your extension range is limited. This is probably like, what, 4 or 5? 4 or 5 upgrades worth of range. And then only your grabbing range increases, which is still useful, because grabbing stuff across the room is quite nice. So I'm going to make this my target. Now let's see how far away I can grab. Okay, so I can grab from here at 9 range. Oh. This is 10. Really not going up by much. Yeah, it doesn't look like having more than that much range is actually helpful at all. I didn't know that, so nice test. I'll grab a few sprint speeds here to test out the jumping action. I don't really need to eat these one by one, as this is kind of straightforward. These are also a 50% chance in the shop from my estimate, but this will effectively allow you to just fly. I'm just flapping my feet here to stay in the air and jump a million times. I will demonstrate the strength requirements on the enemies that are present, as it is extremely difficult to run into every enemy at will, as there is no mod to do so. The huntsman requires 9 strength to just grab and lift in the air. However, he will get a shot off first. Observe. You will need to break line of sight in some way and have something eat the shot. You can also bait him to take a shot first by having an item and making it like tap the ground or something. By tapping the ground like this, I am making him take a shot, and in this cooldown window, you can grab him and lift him, and then start slamming him. Now, the alien requires 4, but I'm not going to take this much time. Oh, you can also use enemies against each other, which is kind of funny. You can use them as weapons for some bonus value here. Okay, now here is a chart I have been working on, recording numbers when I can to paint a full picture. Okay, so strength required to lift enemies. Now there is a bit of an override, if you will, where if you have multiple players grabbing the same enemy or the same prop, it will bypass the strength requirements. I don't know the exact mechanics on this. It's kind of hard to test since I would need a lot of people, but the strength requirements for one person grabbing are pretty straightforward. So At 0 strength required, we have Gnome and Banger. You can just throw them around. That's what you're intended to do. Now, at 3 strength, you can throw the Upscream and the Spewer. Now, the Spewer might actually require 2 strength. I'm not totally sure. He's a little floaty, so you will have to get some momentum to slam him. Now, 4 is another important breakpoint besides 3. Animal, Rugrat, Hidden, and Alien can all be grabbed and slammed at 4. That is a pretty large portion of the cast of enemies that you can just kill with your bare hands or use as a weapon against other bigger enemies. So another super important breakpoint here is 9. Reaper, the Shadow Child, the little Slendermen, the Chef, the Frogs, and the Huntsman. Now, as I showed earlier, he will get a shot off, so you need to break line of sight and grab him while you're going around a corner, or you tap an item on the ground near him to make him waste a shot. 13 is when you can carry everything in the game that's possible to carry. The Duck is not possible to carry, as he will completely override any attempts and will just be immune. And the Peeper, you just can't grab. So 13 is the big boy amount. 13 is what you should shoot for if you're trying to be a solo strength carry in an all-in strat. Let's talk about upgrade distribution strategy, or loadouts here. Now, most games, people seem to split the upgrades. That's pretty much all I've seen in pub games, because it's kind of expected, you know? You don't want to hog all the upgrades, right? Well, I'll get to that in a bit. But if you do want to split up roles, it is a very good idea to focus and buy every single strength you see. Strength is your, like, progression. Strength is how you become able to kill things with your bare hands, which is significantly cheaper than having to shoot guns at them or anything like that. So once you hit strength breakpoints, you are massively profiting. Massively. Runs are so much safer. It's not even close. So I would absolutely recommend one person on a team always get the first 4 strength. And from there, I would recommend them just go all the way to 13. But if you can't get in a group that'll do that, you could at least make the case to let you go to 4. You would have to suffer from the Reaper, the Shadow Child, the Chef, the Huntsman, the Robe, Trudge, Clown, and Headman, but at least you can deal with a few of the smaller, annoying enemies easily and carry almost everything in the game. So this guy can solo carry pretty much everything, and he is kind of just the carry at this point. Now what you can do is, if you want to be a weapon user, like say you have a tranq gun, a shotgun, if you want to use melee weapons for some insane reason, you could go gear more towards a sprint speed build, at least 2 sprint speed, probably 3 or 4, with a few stamina upgrades to round it out, and that would give you enough speed to respond to threats if needed. You could run around if you hear your teammates screaming, or if you hear enemy sounds, you can run over with your tranq gun or your bat or whatever and deal with the enemy. Tumble is also an extremely powerful thing to just stack on one person. You should never split a Tumble Launch upgrade, and if you are going to buy Tumble Launch upgrades, the same person should get them every time, and then you should also buy them every time, because it is kind of slow to stack these since they do not spawn in every shop. So if you would like to do a Tumble build, which is super viable, because you can get around and deal with small enemies with no stamina cost. Like with just 5 tumbles, I'm already able to cross entire rooms with the tumble, and it just doesn't cost any stamina. Here, I just won't sprint. I'll just jump Q, and I'm going so high I'm hitting the ceiling and interrupting it. I am throwing myself across the room here, and I could stun lock ducks and other small enemies with just this, and it doesn't cost that much. Tumble is one of the cheaper upgrades, so it is a very legit strat to stack Tumble on one person that is not the strength carry. Now, you could also stack it on the strength carry if you want. Now for the best strat. This is a high quota game I've been working on the past few days with a bunch of people that I know, and we've been kind of cycling them in and cycling them out because, you know, it's hard to find people, 6 people all to do stuff at the same time. And this is what I think is far and away the best upgrade strategy. And it's something you might not see in a pub game, because the strategy is to take all the upgrades for one player. Now, this is the gobble up all the upgrades, teammates get almost nothing strat. However, I did a variant. Oh, and I have so much strength that items jitter when I hold them. The molecules are so excited by my 13 strength touch that they cannot help themselves. Even trying to release them has them fly. Oh, God. Okay, anyway, this is how many stats I have and I am on quota 14. So I have been able to just completely gather enough stats to be like a superhuman. Like I can run around, jump a bunch of times. I can run for a really long time. I can grab items from across the room like this and just casually move them around. I can just shove this in the extract right now. Super speed run. Like if I get an indestructible drone, I can just ram it on here and go crazy, right? And I can break doors by just running into them. Sprint speed will also stun you if you hit doors at certain speeds, depending on the door. The big ones don't do it so much. Okay, the locker doors do. You know, I might have to test the breakpoints on that because it's kind of annoying. Now, this is the 5 protect 1 strat. One player just has everything and the other players have nothing, and this strat has been working amazingly. It's really hard to die as this player because anything that comes up to you, I can literally pick up any enemy in the game and dunk them in a pit for free. You don't have to recharge the weapon. You don't have to land it. You don't have to even buy the weapons because you are the weapon. You are just a walking machine that kills everything. And this is particularly insane because you profit so much from killing everything for free that you then get even more money. And the upgrades will start costing insane amounts, but you can branch out. See, once you get 13 strength, I'm pretty much done with upgrades. I might grab an extra jump if I see it, but I'm pretty much done with upgrades. So now the next guy in the group who currently has all the tumble stacking, which is kind of the jester build, right? So if this is the king build and the upgrade stacker is the king, then the jester is the tumble stacker. Now, the jester in this strategy can also start stacking strength. Up to about 4, I would say, is a good breakpoint because they can then deal with a lot of the smaller threats on their own, and the super fast, ultra strong guy can deal with the larger threats and like fly around the freaking map, responding to anyone that needs help. And the only way you really die is if you get hit by a peeper in a really, really bad spot, like near a ton of death pits where there's other enemies already on you as well, and there's probably like a Reaper chasing you, a headman. I've been in that situation. Just earlier, I had to go through like 6 of the strongest enemies. If you get pulled into like a pit by a trudge, that's another way to die. I did die like that in this run earlier. I was rescued, which is the nice part about having a few other people to watch your back, because your chances of falling in a pit are decent if times get tough. Like an Upscream, for example, if it manages to jump you, which is something you really have to watch out for, then it might yeet you into a pit. And considering like every freaking room in this game has a death pit past a certain quota, the chances of falling in one are just keep growing. So I've hit the point where it's death pit world, and I'm just trying to survive. So everything's scary. We're scared all the time, pushing carts over tiny vent systems, and I've crashed. Well, whatever. So that is the best strat. IMO. I think upgrade stacking on one person is insanely strong. Plus allows you to freely change out teammates, because if you do share upgrades with teammates, if they aren't in the game, it's a problem, right? But you know, sometimes people just aren't there. What if they don't want to play? What if they're busy? But with this strat, if you stack on one person and have one person become the deity, then you can freely swap out teammates and it's fine. And they can just use all the tools, like all these drones we've got, all these weapons, they can just use those. They're plenty effective. Like some guy with a trank can quite easily dunk a headman in a pit with little to no effort. And some guy can just take the 0G drone, some guy can take the feather drone, and they can also lift items very simply. Thanks for watching. Have a good time out there. Watch my other videos.